I just want to make this video and just talk about something very truthful. Somebody asked me on my live last night, did I see the video? Have I heard about it? That girl, I believe it was the UK she came from. How here in the US she came to, how about her life be free? How there was a person behind her on a train for no reason when she had her headphones on, her hat on, was on her phone minding her own business. The person behind her for no reason got up and just started, and then walked off the train. And she sat there and just like confused, didn't know what happened. And when she realized she had been, stabbed, she just let out and died. Fell over and died. I would say this. Just proves we're living in the last of days. Just proves we're living in the last of days. We're living in the last of days. We're getting very, very close to the return of Jesus. Because that was wicked. That was evil. Disgusting. It was wicked. And I would say this. About that person. If, they don't repent and turn to Christ, they won't get away with it. They won't get away with it. It tells us, Psalms 9:17, the wicked shall perish in hell, and all nations that forget God. It tells us in Romans 14:11, for it is written, as I live, saith the Lord, every knee shall bow to me, and every tongue shall confess to God. It also says in Hebrews 10:31, it is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living God. Jesus even tells us in Matthew 25:46, they shall go into eternal punishment, hell, but the righteous into everlasting life. And I would say this too, anybody that sees that video and tries to play the race card, being racist, because they're black, this, that, and the third, I would say this, I may get hate for it, I really don't care. If they don't repent, God will judge them for being racist, because racism is a sin. Being racist is a sin. The God of the Bible doesn't judge somebody based off their color of their skin. The God of the Bible judges based off sin, based off the wicked, evil things they do if they don't repent. That's what God judges by. He judges the person by their evil, wicked things they do, not by the color of their skin. So, to anyone that sees that video and tries to, blame it because the color they are, they're being racist, God will judge them. They will answer to God. They will be judged by God. And I'll say this, if you don't repent of that, being racist, hating somebody just because the color of their skin, you could end up in hell for that. God will judge you, and you could end up going to hell for that if you don't repent. Because being racist is a sin. Because the God of the Bible loves all colors. He judges people based off their sin. The things they've done wrong. Their sin, not off their color. So, being racist is a sin. And you'll be judged. If you don't repent, you were judged and end up in hell. If you don't repent of it. And I'll say this as well. I'll say this as well. It tells us in Hebrews 10:26, if you willingly continue sinning after receiving the knowledge of the truth, there will no further sacrifice remain for sins. And also this, again, being racist is a sin. It's a sin. If you don't repent of that sin, you could end up in hell for hating somebody just because the color of their skin. God will get you, He will judge you, and you could end up in hell for that. The Bible tells us, right? The Bible tells us in Hebrews, the Bible tells us in Hebrews 12:29, Hebrews 12:29, for our God is a consuming fire. Hebrews 12:29, for our God is a consuming fire. And I'll also say this as well, Galatians 6:8. The one who only lives to satisfy their sinful nature will harvest decay and death. But the one who lives to please the Spirit will harvest everlasting life. And I'll say it again, being racist is a sin. Rather than seeing it for what it was, what that man did, it was wicked, it was nasty, it was disgusting. He took another person's life and had no remorse for it, which is sick, disgusting. If they don't repent, God will get them. They will answer to God when they stand before the Lord. But I'll say this as well. Anybody, again, I may get hate for saying it, I don't care, that sees that video and tries to, play the race card. Oh, it's because the color of their skin, this, that, and the third. God will judge you. Because the God of the Bible, the Christian God, He judges people based off of their things they've done wrong, based off their sin, their sinful behavior, the things they have done wrong, the things they don't repent from. God don't judge based off someone's color of their skin. No, God judges based off their sin, the evil, wicked things they do that they don't repent from. And being racist and not repenting of that, being racist, judging somebody based off the color of their skin, if you don't repent from that, you can end up in hell. You will stand before the Lord and be judged. You just ain't, you won't get away from God. You will be judged. Romans 14:11. For it is written, as I live, saith the Lord, every knee shall bow to me, and every tongue confess to God. It says in Hebrews 12:29, for our God is a consuming fire. It says in Hebrews 10:31, for it is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living God. And I'll say it as well. I'll stand on that. Being racist is a sin. Hating somebody just because the color of their skin, judging somebody based off the color of their skin, rather than what that person did wrong, they're evil, wicked, nasty. What they did was evil. It was evil. Plain and simple. And I'll say this as well. And I'll say this too. It also tells us in Proverbs 9:10, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. And when you're going around, being racist, and you see a video like that, and your first thought, you play the race card, it's because they're black, this, that, and the third, rather than seeing it for what it was, evil, wicked, nasty, disgusting. You don't fear the Lord. You don't fear God. When you're not seeing it for what it is, evil, wicked, nasty, you're judging, based off their skin color. Oh, but it's because they're black. Blah, 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 why they did that. You don't fear God. Because the God of the Bible isn't racist. The God of the Bible loves all colors. He created all humans. The God of the Bible hates sin. Hates sin. God, the God of the Bible, judges people based off their sins, their evil, wicked behavior they don't repent from. That's what God judges off of. And being racist towards another human, just because their skin color, is a sin. And if you don't repent from that, you can end up in hell. And I'll say this, to finish off my video. Romans 1:18. God shows his anger down from heaven against all the wicked, sinful people who suppress the truth by their wickedness. And that is, and I'll say it, I don't care, being racist towards another person just because their skin color is wicked. Because God judges based off their sin, the things they've done wrong.